Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am just Mike. You are watching and you are listening to episode number 37 of the Rock On Wild Show, where it's not just a show, it is a way of life. Now, if you haven't done so yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below this very video. You can also like or dislike this video and share this episode number 37 of the Rock Out Wild Show and tell everyone you know about this podcast called the Rock Out Wild Show to your family, your friends, your coworkers, your acquaintances. Uh, Basically, tell all of the people that you know about the Rock Out Wild Show. And I am your host, Just Mike, once again. As you see from the title of this very video, I am going to go over an article about self-forgiveness. So this is an article from the website greatergood.berkeley.edu that was posted back in March of this year. And they go over 12 steps to self-forgiveness. I was reading this a couple of times. I thought this was an interesting read, and I think we can all learn about self-forgiveness and what to do and things of that nature. So, and it's also something I'm currently working on as we speak as well. So, also on the docket, I'm going to go over the usual stuff for the Rock Out Wild Show that is on this day in the world of film and television, music, wrestling, and sports. But to kick things off for episode number 37 of the Rock Out Wild Show, I'm going to react to an old movie review of mine, a movie called The Judge, starring Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr. Now, because of the lighting going on as we speak, I'm going to leave the camera off. And as we all know, it's September. As I'm recording this, it's September the 1st. This will be aired on September the 10th, obviously. And of course, the sun goes down earlier. But by now, the clocks have changed. So this is why I'm going to leave the camera off for the time being for the next number of episodes when I do these reactions. So with all that out of the way, let's get things started, shall we? So I'm going to present, share screen, and let's click up on the judge. Make sure the audio is on. Let's put this full screen, shall we? And let's react in 3, 2, 1, action.
This is really a beautiful, deeply touching movie that has its fair share of cliches.
Yeah.
I rest my case. Oh, right. I need a gavel. Where's that gavel anyway?
Truth be told, I don't even have a gavel.
Hey, what is up, all movie fans in the movieverse? Welcome to the Mike McRod Movie Review Show. Right now, I'm going to talk about a movie called The Judge, and this movie is about a big city lawyer by the name of Hank Palmer who gets the news that his mother has now passed away, so he has to attend her funeral back to his childhood home where he meets his father and his other two brothers.
Right.
And going into this movie, I felt like this is going to be one of those big Academy Award winning performances type of movies based off what I've seen in the trailer. Did I get that? No. But I'm not saying that the movie has bad performances. I thought the movie had really good performances from everyone involved in this movie. Starting with Robert Downey Jr. I thought his acting in this movie was the total opposite of Tony Stark, even though that Tony Stark character would have been great in that lawyer type of role that Robert Downey Jr. had. He needs to do more of these type of movies where he's just downright serious and doesn't need to joke around as much as he is like Tony Stark.
And case in point, years later, after this movie, Oppenheimer came out and Robert Downey Jr. stole the show.
And what I also like about Robert Downey Jr. is that I love when he's a lawyer and he's doing a really good job as a lawyer. That is, to me, that's when he is really delivering his best lines in the movie and how his character really comes out. He's this kind of asshole, but he's a likable kind of asshole. You kind of feel bad for the guy sometimes.
Hmm.
And you also have his father, who's played by Robert Duvall. And Robert
Robert Duvall,
Duvall,
yes.
in the recent movies, he's always been that guy in the
And I just realized 2 Roberts star in this movie.
background that pops up every now and then. He's that really cool guy, and he really got a lot more screen time in this movie. This was one of his best performances I've seen from Robert Duvall. And you
Yeah, he's
also
pretty good.
have
He's pretty good.
Vincent D'Onofrio as the older brother, Glenn
Vincent
Palmer,
D'Onofrio.
and I like Vincent D'Onofrio. I've been a fan of his since Men in Black,
Yeah, same.
and
Yep.
to me, Vincent D'Onofrio has always been one of those actors that is the best in character performances.
Darn straight.
As that guy that's always been in the supporting role, and usually I like to
And there's a reason why he plays a great Wilson Fisk Kingpin.
see him steal the show more often. I think he does sometimes in this movie, but I like that he toned it down a little because he knew that this movie starred Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall. This was their movie, not his. So he
Basically, what I'm saying is Vincent D'Onofrio knew the assignment.
really knew his role, and I like
Yep.
Vincent D'Onofrio in this movie. You also have Billy Bob Thornton as the prosecutor in this movie. I thought that he was good for what for the time that he was given in the movie, but I would have liked to see more intensity from the prosecution from Billy Bob Thornton in the courtroom scenes, and I never really quite got that. But that's not to say that he was a cool guy and he made the most out of his time, and then he did.
All good actors.
So
in
with that
this.
being said, I think that if this movie had more of Billy Bob Thornton, I think the intensity would come out a lot more.
Probably.
Also in this movie, you had this sub story with Vera Farmiga and her daughter.
From The Conjuring.
There's a story going on there with Tony Stark. I understand that 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 this was in the movie because they wanted to make Robert Downey Jr.'s character more relevant to human, but they really didn't need this. I felt that this side story was unnecessary. You really didn't need it movie. It was one of those things where it's one of those things where I thought that this movie's not really missing anything if they took that away. I wouldn't really felt like that this movie's missing something.
Yeah.
So with that said, if they took that out and had more of Billy Bob Thornton in the movie, as well as more courtroom scenes in the movie, the only other problem I had with the movie is that the pacing of it felt a little long. I thought the last few minutes could have wrapped up maybe 5 minutes shorter. From Robert Downey Jr., I would have liked to see him a lot more trying to solve the case as opposed to being the lawyer guy.
Right, yeah.
To me, that would have made him maybe a little bit more human as well. But that's not to say that Robert Downey Jr. was a nice guy, even though he was a bit of a dick in the movie. I thought he was great. Robert Downey Jr., Vincent D'Onofrio. I thought that the courtroom scenes as well, even though we needed to see more of them, I felt like they were rushed. I was actually more interested in them for some reason. And I thought that the comedy as well. This movie had a quick-witted humor about it. Most of the jokes really went over my head. It kind of didn't sit well with me. It kind of fell flat. I thought that every scene involved Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Duvall was excellent. They really sold it for me. Every scene there, those two were in, while they were talking or yelling or shouting or at one another. That was gold, and that was the best thing about this movie was the acting. The story that was told was great, except for just a couple of things that I felt like that wasn't unnecessary. So overall, this is a likable movie. I didn't love it, but I liked it. And I'm ranking this movie 77.5 points out of 100. And if you saw The Judge, what did you think about it? Feel free to comment in the comment section below and tell me what did you think about this movie. And also, you can hit that subscribe button as well to get McRocked.
Yeah, so that is my reaction for the movie called The Judge that came out about 11 years ago. Robert Downey Jr. and Vincent D'Onofrio in the same movie. To me, that is a big plus. It's Iron Man and Wilson Fisk in one movie. That pretty much sums it up right there. I absolutely love it. So, with all that being said, let's get into the usual stuff that we see on the Rock Out Wild Show. And that is a segment I like to call On This Day. And let's start with film and television, shall we? So let's present, share screen, and let's see what happened on this day on September the 10th for film and television. In 1849, famous American actor Edwin Booth makes his stage debut at age 15 in Richard III in Boston. In 1951, Rashomon by Akira Kurosawa wins the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. In 1954, WLUK TV Channel 11 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I couldn't help myself right there. If you 1,000 points to you if you get that reference. NBC begins broadcasting. In 1955, Gunsmoke premieres on CBS TV, starring James Arness. In 1956, WSYE, now WETN, TV Channel 18 in Elma Corning, New York, NBC, first broadcast. In 1958, WJC-TV, TV Channel 7 in Jacksonville, Florida, PBS, begins broadcasting. In 1962, KLRN-TV Channel 9 in San Antonio, Texas, begins broadcasting. In 1962, WDCN-TV Channel 8 in Nashville, Tennessee, begins broadcasting. A lot of begins broadcasting in this one. Same here in 1965. WUND TV Channel 2 in Columbia, North Carolina begins broadcasting. In 1967, KVVU TV Channel 5 in Henderson, Las Vegas, Nevada begins broadcasting. In 1971, KVUE TV Channel 24 in Austin, Texas begins broadcasting. In 1972, WKAR TV Channel 23 in East Lansing, Missouri begins broadcasting. In 1974, controversial TV drama Born Innocent premieres on NBC TV, starring Linda Blair as an abused teen in juvenile detention home. You mean to tell me that she done stuff outside of The Exorcist? Holy crap. Well, she was in an episode of Supernatural. In 1977, Susan Perkins, Ohio, crowned 50th Miss America 1978. In 1984, first episode of daily syndicated TV game show of Jeopardy with Alex Trebek as host. That long ago, God rest his soul. 1988, Gretchen Elizabeth Carlson, Minnesota 22, crowned 62nd Miss America in 1989. In 1993, The X-Files, created by Chris Carter and starring David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, debuts on Fox. In 1995, 47th Emmy Awards, NYPD Blue, ER, Frasier, and Candice Bergen win. In 1998, 15th MTV Video Music Awards, Madonna and Will Smith win. I wonder, does he still have that award? I am curious, by the way, actually. In 1999, Fight Club, film based on the novel by Chuck Palahniuk, directed by David Fincher, and starring Edward Norton and Brad Pitt, premieres at the Venice Film Festival. Fantastic movie. Love the twist at the end. In the year 2000, 52nd Emmy Awards, The West Wing, Will and Grace, James Gandolfini, and Cilla Ward win. In 2001, Indian actor Amitabh Bachchan is awarded Actor of the Century at the Alexandria Film Festival. If I butchered that name, I'm so sorry. In the year 2004, Crash, directed by Paul Haggis and starring Don Cheadle and Sandra Bullock, premieres at the Toronto Film Festival Best Picture 2006. In 2007, There Will Be Blood, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and starring Daniel Day-Lewis, premieres in New York City. 2018, John Legend, Andrew Lloyd Webber, and Tim Rice win Emmy Awards for television special Jesus Christ Superstar Live in Concert, making them all EGOTs, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony winners. Legend is the first black male to achieve EGOT status. In the year 2020, concert film David Byrne's American Utopia, directed by Spike Lee, documenting the Broadway musical Revenue, premieres at Toronto International Film Festival. Also in 2024, second U.S. president debate between new candidate Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump at that time, hosted by ABC in Philadelphia, with most commentators giving Harris the win. And those are all the things that happened on this day in the world of film and television for September the 10th. Now let's take a look at what happened on September 10th in the music world, shall we? On September 10th, 1991, Nirvana breakthrough single Smells Like Teen Spirit was released in the US, but the song, which appeared on the sophomore album Nevermind, was not an immediate hit. It wasn't until its accompanying music video, in which a high school pep rally breaks out into a riot, began to pick up traction on MTV, that the song rose up the charts. By the end of the year, it had become an international sensation, landing in the top 10 on the singles charts in the US, UK, Australia, Canada, and across Europe. Dubbed an anthem for apathetic Gen X kids by Time magazine, Smells Like Teen Spirit also propelled Nirvana to the top of the charts, making the moment when alternative rock entered the mainstream, and in brackets, and particularly grunge. In 1988, Guns N' Roses scored their first US number one with Sweet Child of Mine. And it's amazing how that song got overplayed over the years. The song came together in a surprising way, according to a 2005 article in Q magazine. During a jam session, drummer Steven Adler and Slash were noodling around when the guitarist began to play a circus-style melody, trying to get Adler to crack a smile. Rhythm guitarist Izzy Stradlin, however, saw the potential in the guitar line. Stradlin came up with some chords, Duff McKagan added a bass line, and Adler began playing the beat. The rest is history. In 1974, the New York Dolls announced their split. While the group was only together for 2 years, during which they released 2 studio albums, 1973's New York Dolls and 1974's Too Much Too Soon, their influence would endure for far longer. And in 1964, Rod Stewart recorded his first single, a cover of Willie Dixon's Good Morning, Little Schoolgirl. Future Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones played on the session. Let's take a look at some of the birthdays on September the 10th. We got Waldo Seaman, inventor of vinyl, born in 1898. We got Danny Hutton from Three Dog Night, who was born on September 10th, 1942. We got Jose Feliciano, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, forgive me. Born on 1945, September the 10th. Then we got from Jethro Tull, Barry Barlow, born in 1949. Joe Perry from Aerosmith, born on this day, September the 10th, 1950. Then we got Siobhan Fahey from Bananarama, born on 1957. Born on 1980, September 10th, we got Mikey Way from My Chemical Romance. And born on 1984, Matthew Followill from Kings of Leon. Those are all the things that happened on this day in the world of music. Now let's take a look at what happened on September the 10th in the world of professional wrestling. Let's see what we have here. In 1996, Dusty Rhodes, a baby, former valet in its brief WWF stint, Sapphire, passed away as a result of a heart attack in St. Louis, Missouri. God rest her soul. In 2001, on Raw, the WWE Champion Stone Cold Steve Austin rallied the Alliance together to take out his frustrations on Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle by putting the Olympic gold medalist in a hardcore title match against Rob Van Dam. In the main event, Tess and Stephanie McMahon Helmsley took on the WCW champion The Rock in a handicap match. This would also be the last episode to be titled Raw is War. The 9/11 terrorist attacks took place the next day, and the title of the show was changed immediately to Raw. In 2005, Wrestle Reunion 3 took place in Florida and featured matches with legends such as the Warlord, Kamala, the Blue Meanie, Jake the Snake Roberts, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Tito Santana, and Tully Blanchard. In the main event, Dusty Rhodes fought Terry Funk to a no contest in a regular wrestling match refereed by the hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley. In 2007, on the go-home edition of WWE Raw for Unforgiven, Mr. McMahon found out the identity of his illegitimate son. WWE Champion John Cena was provoked by Randy Orton ahead of their upcoming pay-per-view WWE title rematch. Triple H took on Shelton Benjamin, and Intercontinental Champion Jeff Hardy was forced to take on SmackDown's World Heavyweight Champion, the Great Khali. In 2012, after teaming with Randy Orton to face CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler on Raw, Jerry Lawler suffered a heart attack live on commentary. I remember this happening on Raw, and it was scary. And Lawler's life was saved by CPR from WWE's Dr. Sampson. And Michael, I want to add to this too. Michael Cole that night was absolutely fantastic in this, keeping us updated and informed of Jerry the King Lawler's condition. But that was Cole's night after all that happened, and I think that it seems to be forgotten about over the years, but I wanted to point that out as well. In 2012, WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart conducted a head-to-head interview between CM Punk and John Cena on the go-home edition of Raw from Montreal for a Clash of Champions. Later in the show, Punk faced an opponent chosen by WWE audience. This is the first time Hart had appeared at a WWE event in Montreal since the infamous screw job at the Survivor Series in 1997. That is something I would like to talk about once that anniversary comes around again. And we got some notable wrestling birthdays here. We got Don Morocco, born in 1949. Steve Kieran, born in 1951. The Blueprints, the DNA of TNA, Matt Morgan, born September 10th, 1978. Then we got Trevor Murdoch, born in 1980. And Drake Wirtz, born in 84. We have some deaths as well for September the 10th. We got Enrique Torres, who passed away in 2007, and Kerry Brown, who passed away in 2009. And those are all the things that happened on this day in the world of professional wrestling. And before we get into the main event, we got one more installment for On This Day for September 10th, and let's go over everything in sports, shall we? In 1875, British Open men's golf, Prestwick, Willie Park Sr. wins his fourth title, beats fellow Scott Bob Martin by 2 strokes. In 1918, Boston Red Sox and Chicago Cubs players threatened to boycott the World Series unless they are guaranteed $2,500 to the winners and $1,000 for each of the losers. In 1919, Cleveland Indians pitcher Ray Caldwell no-hits New York Yankees 3-0 at the Polo Grounds, New York City. In 1922, New York Yankees play their farewell home game in Polo Grounds, win both games of doubleheader against Philadelphia Athletics, and move to Yankee Stadium the following season. In 1924, New York Giants rip Boston Braves 22-1 at the Polo Grounds. Future Baseball Hall of Famer Infielder Frankie Frisch goes 6 for 6 before grounding out. In 1926, International Lawn Tennis Challenge, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Vincent Richards and R. Norris Williams clinch U.S. 7th straight title, beat Jacques Bergnan and Henri Cochet of France 6-4, 6-4, 6-2 for a 3-0 lead and 4-1. In 1927, International Lawn Tennis Challenge, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Henry Cochet beats Bill Johnson 6-4, 4-6, 6-2, 6-4 to clinch a 3-2 win for France and break the 7-title U.S. win streak. In 1931, U.S. national champion men's tennis Forest Hills, New York. Ellsworth Vines beats George Lott 7-9, 6-3, 9-7, 7-5 for his first of 2 straight U.S. singles titles. In 1932, Dodgers' Johnny Frederick hits record 6th pinch hit home run of the season. In 1932, U.S. national champion men's tennis Forest Hills, American Ellsworth Vines successfully defends his title, beats Frenchman Henry Cochet 6-4, 6-4, and 6-4. In 1933, U.S. national champion men's tennis Englishman Fred Perry robs Australian Jack Crawford of his Grand Slam chance win, finals 6-3, 11-13, 4-6, 6-0, and 6-1. In 1937, Second American Football League play first game, LA 21, Pittsburgh nothing. Also in 37, Cleveland, Los Angeles Rams play their first NFL game and lose 28-0. In 1948, Australian cricketer Don Bradman scores 153 in his first-class cricket inning in England. In 1950, Joe DiMaggio becomes first to hit 3 home runs in a game at Griffith Stadium. In 1954, attempting to handle New York Giants pitcher Hoyt Williams' knuckleball catcher Ray Catt sets Major League record with 4 passed balls. In 1960, Abibi Bikila of Ethiopia runs world record 2:15:16.2 barefoot to take out men's marathon at the Rome Olympics. Africa first ever Olympic gold medal. Ethiopia. In 1960, Fincher Aldar Grinovic is part of the gold medal winning Hungarian Sabre team at Rome Olympics. Grinovic's 6th consecutive gold medal in the event. In 1960, future Hall of Famer Jerry Lucas scores 23 points as the U.S. wins its 5th straight men's basketball Olympic gold medal with a 90-63 drubbing of Brazil at Rome Games. In 1960, gymnast competition at Rome Olympics concludes with the Soviet Union taking 10 of the 15 gold medals. Soviet gymnasts Boris Shchekalin and Larsa Latenia win 3 gold medals each. Correct me if I did not pronounce them correctly. 1960, New York Yankee Mickey Mantle hits 643 home run over right fielder Roof in Detroit. Also in 1960, Yugoslavia dominates Denmark 3-1 to win the men's football gold medal at the Rome Olympics. In 1961, 75th U.S. National Championship Women's Tennis, Forest Hills, New York. Defending champion Darlene Hard begins England's Ann Jones 6-3 and 6-4. In 1961, American Ferrari driver Phil Hill, that rhymes, wins Italian Grand Prix at Monza to clinch F1 World Drivers' Championship, first American F1 World Champion. Also in 61, Italian F1 Grand Prix, Monza, a crash caused the death of German driver Wolfgang von Trips and 15 spectators hit by his Ferrari. Damn it. 1961 also, Mickey Mantle becomes the 7th to hit home run number 400. Also in 1961, U.S. National Championship Men's Tennis Forest Hills, New York. In an Australian final, Roy Emerson beats Rod Laver 7-5, 6-3, 6-2, Emerson's second Grand Slam title. In 1962, U.S. National Championship Men's Tennis Forest Hills, New York. Rod Laver completes his first Grand Slam, defeating fellow Queenslander Roy Emerson 6-2, 6-4, 5-7, and 6-4. Also in 62, U.S. National Championship Women's Tennis Forest Hills. New York, Australian Margaret Smith beats defending champion Darlene Hard 9-7 and 6-4 for her first U.S. singles crown. In 1963, Phillies beat Houston Colt 45 seconds, 16-0. In 1963, Stan Musial hits a home run in his first at-bat as a grandfather. In 1965, Phillies won 10,000th game to a decision since 1900. Phillies beats Cards. In 1966, Muhammad Ali TKOs Carl Mildenberger in 12 for heavyweight boxing title. In 1967, Chicago White Sox Joe Horland no-hits Detroit Tigers 6-0. In 1967, U.S. National Championship Men's Tennis Forest Hills, New York. John Newcombe of Australia defeats American Clark Grainberner 6-4, 6-4, 8-6 for his first of 2 U.S. singles titles. In 1967, U.S. National Championship Women's Tennis Forest Hills, New York. Billie Jean King defeats England's Anne Hayden Jones 11-9 and 6-4 for first of 4 U.S. singles crowns. In 1969, New York Mets sweep Montreal Expos, putting them in first place for the first time. We have a bunch here for 1972 here. Oh my God, here we go. American freestyle wrestler Dan Gable wins 68 kg division gold medal at the Munich Olympics. Only Olympic wrestler not to have a single point scored against him in the competition. American long distance runner Frank Shorter achieves a famous win in the men's marathon with a time of 2:12:19.8 at the Munich Olympics. Also in 72, American men's 4x100 meter relay team of Larry Black, Robert Taylor, Gerald Tinker, and Eddie Hart combined for a record of 38.19 to beat the Soviet Union for the gold medal at the Munich Olympics. Also in 72, an American double in the inaugural Olympic archery competition in Munich. John Williams wins the men's individual gold medal. Doreen Wilbur takes the women's gold. Also in 72, Cuban boxer Teofilo Stevenson wins first 3 consecutive Olympic heavyweight gold medals when Munich Games opponent Ion Alexei of Romania withdraws from the final because of a broken thumb. Also in 72, East versus West in a women's 4x100 meter relay at the Munich Olympics. West Germany beats East Germany by 0.13 seconds for the gold medal. Also in 72, Finnish runner Leslie Viren revs up the 5,000 to 10,000 meter double at the Munich Olympics, runs Olympic record 13:26.42 for the 5K gold medal. Also in 72, Kazimierz Dynia scores twice at Poland as Poland beats Hungary 2-1 in the Olympic football gold medal match, 80,000 at the Munich Olympic Stadium. In 1972, also U.S. Open men's tennis, Forest Hills, New York. Ilie Natasi of Romania beats Arthur Ashe 3-6, 6-3, 6-7, 6-3, and 6-3 for his first Grand Slam title. Also in 72, West Germany beats Pakistan 1-0 to become first European nation since 1920 to win the field hockey Olympic title, marred by disgraceful behavior of Pakistani players, fans, and officials after losing the Munich final. Also in 72, Yugoslavia beats Czechoslovakia 21-16 in the inaugural Olympic handball final in Munich. In 1973, Muhammad Ali defeats Ken Norton on a 12-round split decision for NABF heavyweight boxing title at the Forum, Inglewood, California. Also in 73, NFL New York Jets trade pros football leading receiver Don Maynard to St. Louis Cardinals. In 1974, MLB St. Louis Cardinals Lou Brock ties 104 and then sets 105 baseball stolen base mark. Also in 74, Tiovo Luis Silveri sets cycling distance record of 515.8 miles in 24 hours. In 1975, Darryl Sittler is named captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. In 1977, Blue Jays beat the Yankees 19-3 with 20 hits, which only proves that Yankees suck. Also in 1977, Krista Valencic runs female world record marathon. Also in 77, U.S. Open women's tennis for sales New York. Chris Evert wins her third straight U.S. singles title, beats Wendy Turnbull of Australia 7-6 and 6-2. Final time event played at Westside Tennis Club. In 1978, fourth game of Boston Massacre, New York Yankees beat Red Sox 7-4 to tie for AL East first place. Yanks out hit Arc's rival 67-21, score 42-9. In 78, the single-point American Lotus driver Mario Andretti earns for finishing sixth at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza is enough to clinch its first Formula One World Drivers' Championship. In 1978, U.S. Open men's tennis, Flushing Meadows, New York, Jimmy Connors beats Bjorn Borg 6-4, 6-2, 6-2 to become first player to win U.S. Open on 3 different surfaces. In 1983, Larry Holmes TKO Scott Frank in 5 for heavyweight boxing title. In 1983, U.S. Open women's tennis, Martina Navratilova beats Chris Everett Lloyd 6-1 and 6-3 for her first U.S. singles title. In 88, U.S. Open women's tennis, Steffi Graf of Germany wins her first U.S. singles title and completes the Grand Slam, beats Gabrielle Sabatini 6-3, 3-6, and 6-1. In 1989, Browns allow Pittsburgh only 53 net yards, a team defense record. In 1989, 5 days after hitting a home run for the Yankees in a 12-2 win over the Mariners, MLB and NFL player Deion Sanders returns a punt 68 yards for a touchdown, his first. In 1989, Indianapolis running back Eric Dickerson rushes for 106 yards against San Francisco to become the fastest player to the top 10,000-yard plateau, 91st career game. Also in 89, U.S. Open men's tennis, Boris Becker of Germany wins his only U.S. title, beats Czech Ivan Lendl 7-6, 1-6, 6-3, and 7-6. In 1990, first time in New York Yankees history, they completely swept in a season series as the Oakland A's beat them 12 games to nothing, which proves once again, Yankees suck. Also in 1990, for the first time in 1968, all 8 Grand Slam tennis champions are different people. In 1991, Gail Denvers runs U.S. female record 100-meter hurdles in 12.48 seconds. In 1994, U.S. Open women's tennis, Enrique Sanchez Vicaro of Spain wins her only U.S. singles title, beats Steffi Graf 1-6, 7-6, and 6-4. In 1995, 35th Walker Cup, Britain-Ireland beats U.S. 14-10. In 1995, Cleveland Major League sports franchise NFL Browns and MLB Indians play simultaneous regular season games in Cleveland. For only time, both win. Browns 22-6 versus Tampa. Indians 5-3 versus Orioles. In 1995, U.S. Open men's tennis, Pete Sampras wins his third U.S. title, beats fellow American Andre Agassi 6-4, 6-3, 4-6, and 7-5. In 1997, Mark McGwire joins Babe Ruth as the only players to hit 50 home runs in 2 consecutive years. In 1999, Pedro Martinez pitches a near-perfect game against the New York Yankees with only a solo home run by Chili Davis. In 2000, Indiana University fires basketball coach Bob Knight after an altercation with a student. Knight had spent 29 years at the school, compiling a 662-239 record. Also in 2000, U.S. Open men's tennis. Marat Safin of Russia wins his first Grand Slam title, beats home favorite Pete Sampras 6-4, 6-3, and 6-3. In 2005, 125th U.S. Open women's tennis. Belgian Kim Clitters, if I'm pronouncing that, forgive me, wins her first of 4 Grand Slam titles, beats Marion Pierce of France 6-3 and 6-1. In 2006, U.S. Open men's tennis, Roger Federer wins third straight U.S. title, beats home favorite Andy Roddick 6-2, 4-6, 7-5, and 6-1. In 2011, U.S. Open women's tennis, Samantha Stosur becomes first Australian to win a Grand Slam title since 1980, upsets Serena Williams 6-2 and 6-3. In 2012, U.S. Open men's tennis, Andy Murray of Scotland wins his first Grand Slam event, beats defending champion Novak Djokovic 7-6, 7-5, 2-6, 3-6, and 6-2. In 2016, U.S. Open women's tennis, Angelique Kerber beats Karolina Pliskova 6-3, 4-6, 6-4 to become first German player to win the event since Steffi Graf in 1996. I probably butchered those names to Kingdom Come right there. In 2017, A. Mori wins gold in the climbing at the IFCS Youth World Championships in Innsbruck, Austria. Also in 2017, U.S. Open men's tennis, Spain's Rafael Nadal wins his third U.S. title, beats Kevin Anderson of South Africa 6-3, 6-3, and 6-4. In 2018, Australian newspaper The Herald Sun criticized for a racist cartoon of American tennis star Serena Williams. I remember that too. In 2022, U.S. Open women's tennis, world number 1 Iga Swiatek of Poland wins her third major title with a 6-2, 7-6, 7-5 victory over Tunisia's Anis Jabeur. In 2023, Luis Rubiales, head of Spain Football Federation, resigns a month after grabbing and kissing Spanish player Jenny Hermoso after the team's World Cup win. In 2023, U.S. Open men's tennis, Novak Djokovic, 36, wins his fourth U.S. title and record-tying 24th major singles event with a 6-3, 7-6, 6-3 over Russia's Daniel Medvedev. Russian names, I'm not very good at, unfortunately. Unless if it's Sergei Fedorov or Kozlov or Konstantinov, I can easily pronounce those. But when it's something like that up there, I cannot. And the final thing for sports on this day, for September the 10th last year, Philadelphia Phillies slugger Kyle Schwarber breaks MLB record, hitting his 14th leadoff home run of the season in a 9-4 victory over Tampa Rays at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Those are all the things that happened on this day for September the 10th in the world of sports. And I do believe it is about that time for the main event of episode number 37 of the Rock Wald Show. Now, we all know self-forgiveness is probably one of the most hardest things to do in life. This is something that I am currently working on as I speak, as I record this video. And I think over time, eventually, I will get to that journey. It's just the destination to get there is something I need to work on as well. So I'm going to. So this article came from greatergood.berkeley.edu, and it's called 12 Steps to Self-Forgiveness. So I'm going to pull this article up, and we will go over this as we go along here. And I want to take you on this journey with me to tell you the steps of self-forgiveness. This article was posted back in March of this year, so this article will still hold up to this day. And I've actually read this a couple of times, and to me, this article sounds pretty good. So we will go over this. So it starts off with this. After you hurt someone, there is a path towards making amends, emotional healing, and finding acceptance and peace with yourself. Years ago, at a forgiveness class for Stanford continuing studies, one of us met a man who once had a wife and 2 children and a good job. But he threw it all away because of a gambling addiction that brought his family to bankruptcy. He regularly lied to his wife about where he was going as he took trip after trip to Las Vegas and the racetracks. This deception continued over the course of several years as he built up the debt that eventually crushed him and lost him his job and his family. We might ask, what kind of life is possible for someone after such self-destructive behavior? I mean, I am one to talk about self-destructive behavior as well. Believe me, I know. How can he move ahead knowing the harm he caused? He cannot he cannot reclaim the family he lost, nor end the financial difficulty they all face. And so we ask, how does he forgive himself? If you were in his shoes, how might you move on? The gambler may wallow in remorse, self-hatred, and regret for years to come. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, the remorse, regret, self-hatred, and whatever other bad feelings he experiences will not help him or make his family whole. The bottom line is we cannot change the past. No matter how great our Let me try that again. The bottom line is we cannot change the past, no matter how great our suffering or self-hatred. After he feels appropriate guilt and remorse, might it be possible for him, with sufficient reflection, amends, and reparations, to chart a new course in his life? In our experiences as a forgiveness researcher and a former priest, we know that that even in the face of such personal failing, there can be a path to forgiveness, and forgiving oneself. Self-forgiveness is a form of emotional healing that allows us to move from despair and self-attack to acceptance and peace, without letting ourselves off the hook. There is a path of forgiveness available to that unfortunate gambler, and the path can be available to you. Over decades of work with tens of thousands of people struggle that following these 12 steps will help you make peace with your actions, respond appropriately to make amends, and redirect you to a healthier future. We suggest starting with a past action that is giving you some discomfort, but not something that is crippling you or giving you extreme distress, until you have more practice with this process. So this is step number 1 here. Categorize the event. We all make mistakes, some large, some small. for me, it's not a mistake. I knew what I was doing. Here are 4 categories of offense that can be helped by self-forgiveness. You fail at an important life or developmental task, such as bankruptcy or flunking out of school. Your wrong or unskillful actions harm you or someone else. You greatly hurt yourself by patterns of decisions or actions, such as misusing substances while regularly taking unnecessary risks. You did not do something you knew you should, such as help a suffering family member or put money away for your child's college education. Categorizing the offenses break the forgiveness process. It allows you to break down what you did into a category, get a little distance, and begin the process of healing. Number 2, be clear about what you did. As you identify a mistake or something that you made that has been troubling you, take a few deep breaths and write down any thoughts and emotions that come up for you now. While being gentle with yourself, clearly articulate the specific wrong you committed and whom have made harmed. You need to know what you are forgiving yourself for. If you feel comfortable doing so, share your work in these steps with a friend or write a note to someone about it. You can choose whether or not to share it with that person. It is common that we think that we are not alone and unique in our suffering. Sharing can remind us that everyone makes mistakes. Confessing what you have done also prevents you from slipping into denial, suppression, repression, and forgetting. Number 3, understand what you want. You may not necessarily want to reconcile with the person you hurt. For me, I do, and there are plenty. Maybe you just want to get rid of the shame, release the blame, and feel calm and whole at your center. When choosing self-forgiveness, many people say that they want to accept their mistakes, relieve their suffering, and get rid of the shame they feel. A reminder, remorse over past behavior is not a bad thing. When you feel remorse, you are often seeing your behavior as its consequence clearly. And through remorse, when you're able to make amends, it can bring balance and clarity. Focus on the present, which is number 4, which is something that I've been doing as well. Realizing that hurt feelings, guilty thoughts, and tense muscles you feel whenever you think of your offense are what are actually making you suffer now, not what you did in the past. It is your reaction to it today that is what you are struggling with. Consider, how do you feel right now about the offense? What are you thinking? How are you behaving? To me, I think I'm behaving all right. I don't do what I normally did a few years ago, and I'm feeling all right now, but not back then. Still hold on to it a little bit, but it's something, again, I'm still currently working on. And ask yourself, are my present responses to this offense helpful? If not, what can I do now to relieve myself of my self-condemnation? Number 5, end self-attack. The key to this practice of self-forgiveness is releasing self-attack, dealing too harshly with ourselves even when we have failed or hurt someone. A limited self-attack can be helpful at first to clarify what we did wrong, and then to remind us not to do it again. Dwelling on self-attack is often called remorse. You could tell that long-term self-attack is happening if you are experiencing excessive shame and guilt. It may help to note that difference between guilt and shame. Someone who is feeling guilt might say, I did something bad. Someone who is feeling shame might say, I am bad. For me, it's a bit of both, I think. While guilt can be a helpful emotion that connects us to our moral compass and help us make amends, when we make mistakes, shame can be a toxic emotion. Shame is linked with addiction, depression, violence, bullying, suicide, and eating disorders, while remorse and guilt are not. Number 6, own your unrealistic expectations. So pretty much own what you did, be accountable. Most of us have set our unconscious rules hovering in the back of our minds about how we expect ourselves to behave. These rules are demands of expectations that you do not control. For example, past behavior that you now think should have been different, or the belief that you must be a certain way. But those rules, many of which we pick up in childhood, are not always realistic. For example, I might believe I have to be financially successful to feel good about myself. There is a bit of truth to that, I agree. Or should I have known better than to marry my first wife? Remember, it is the unrealistic aspect of your rules that is a significant part of why you struggle to forgive yourself. Number 7, hit the stop button. Now, replaying what you did over and over again in your head is not going to help you or the person you hurt. It just makes you feel bad and contributes nothing in terms of amends or apologies. So every time you catch yourself ruminating on your mistakes or the things that you know what you did that are not mistakes, this could go either way here. Take a slow and deep breath into your belly, release it, and immediately shift your attention by looking away, moving your body, stepping away, repeating an affirmation aloud, or visualizing your negative thought floating away in a bubble. That is a hard thing to do. Easier said than done, but it's something I'm working on. Number 8, apologize. When you cannot forgive yourself because of something you did that harmed someone else, either by omission or commission, you have some work to do. Sometimes all it takes is a sincere apology to make things right. Apologies are most effective if made in person, but if that's not possible, consider writing a letter or email. Sincere apologies include 4 key steps. You admit something you did was wrong. You acknowledge that your wrong caused them pain and that their pain is legitimate. You apologize for the wrong and the pain is caused. And you offer a sincere effort to not do the wrong again. Number 9, make it right. To make amends, look for a way to be kind to those you have hurt. If you spend half the family's monthly food budget on gambling, make it up to them by turning out the tastiest meals ever cooked on a shortening budget. Did you not get your daughter's championship basketball game until the second half? Make it right by volunteering to be the next year's assistant coach. I mean, that's a good example right there. That's a really, really good example. Even if the person you hurt is dead or passed away or otherwise absent from your life, you can still make amends by providing kindness to someone else. This is often called paying it forward. Think you were a bad parent, you cannot go back and change things now, but you can go out of your way to be an outstanding grandparent. Or maybe consider joining a Big Brothers or Big Sisters organization to serve as a mentor and provide some guidance and companionship to someone else's child. And I want to go back to a little bit of something here about the paying it forward. That's something I'm currently doing right now. Number 10, shift your attention to the good. Now that you have honestly categorized the offense and recognized your need to apologize and make amends, try this practice to solidify self-forgiveness. Take some deep breaths and remember someone you love. Bring that person's image to your mind and feel the resulting goodness in the area around your heart. Ask yourself, is it time to let the bad feelings about myself go? If you answer yes, visualize yourself holding the bad feelings in your hand like a stone and then letting them go. Continue deep belly breathing and try to picture the clean, concise, um, continue deep belly breathing and try to picture the clean, concise that came from about your apology and amends. Bring to mind how much you, like everyone else, deserve to be free, and when you have felt remorse, make an apology, stop the bad behavior, and make amends. You have paid your dues and can let it go. Now uh, ask your open heart for any other advice it might offer regarding letting go or making something right. Remember, this loving part of you offers you guidance that is without self-blame and negativity and full of acceptance and peace. Take another deep breath and put yourself in perspective, which is step number 11. Remember that you, like everyone else, has good and bad qualities. You are flawed and make mistakes and hurt people. Most self-forgiveness is about your wrong. But along with remorse, apology, and amends, you need to be realistic about your failures and how they fit into your identity overall. For example, what kind deeds have you done lately? Such as helping a friend or family member during a time of need. What are some good qualities you possess and how do they manifest? And the final step, identify your positive intention. This is the final step of self-forgiveness. Change your story and create one that looks forward, not backward. Put your energy into looking for new ways to achieve your positive goals rather than replaying your mistakes and failures. What positive goal of yours was delayed by that offense? How can you recommit to that goal? What story can you tell that includes the offense but does not center on it? For example, the Gabler reference above used his addiction as the background for his story of reclaiming his life, supporting his children and repaying his debts. He used his positive intention to explain how his addiction forced him to examine some bad habits that he had to deal with before he was capable of living a successful life. As we realign with our positive intentions, we reverse the toxic emotional process of self-attack. When we feel stuck in a story of regret or failure, we cannot help but feel bad about ourselves. The positive intention brings us back to our goodness, connecting to our amends and letting go, shrinking the self-attack and draining it of its poison, I mean. Positive intention frees us from toxic shame in which we are helpless and miserable, while at the same time allowing healthy remorse, a prettier conscience to inspire you to make amends for mistakes made. The bottom line is this: we cannot change the past, but through self-forgiveness, we can make peace in the present and plan for a brighter future. With me, I think I have made peace with my present, and I think that's all I can really do for now. So that is the article about 12 steps to self-forgiveness that was posted earlier this year. And this has been episode number 37 of the Rock Out Wild Show. I'm going to leave you all with a quote, and it goes something like this. Embrace the fresh start that a new month brings, and as a chance to set new intentions, pursue new goals, and create new memories. Allow yourself to let go of any past disappointments or setbacks, and focus on the opportunities that lie ahead. Remember, each new month is a blank canvas waiting for you to paint your story. Embrace the possibilities. Stay positive and believe in your ability to make this month truly special. You have the strength and resilience to navigate whatever comes your way. Trust in the journey and cherish the moments that make each day unique. One more thing I want to add here, tomorrow is September 11th, the anniversary of 9/11, and let's take the time to reflect back and remember all the ones that we lost on that day. I am your host, Just Mike, and on a final note to all of you watching and listening to this episode of the Rock Out Wild Show all around the world, get plenty of rest and always do your best.